This would never do. There were, of course, some battles fought during his reign, said Harvey, but I fancy the accounts of them were much exaggerated. News was very unreliable in those days, and there were practically no war correspondents. So generals and comrades could magnify every little skirmish they engaged in till they reached the proportions of decisive battles. Louis was really famous now as a landscape gardener. The way he laid out Versailles was so much admired that it was copied all over Europe. Now, he doesn't want to know about this dark side of the history of France, because there was a lot of violence, bloodshed during this period, and Harvey does not want his nephews to know about this. That is the reason why he's trying to twist the history. This would never do. There were, of course, some battles during his reign, said Harvey, but I fancy the accounts of them were much exaggerated. News was unreliable in those days, and there were practically no war correspondents. So, because, of course, he says he acknowledges that there were some battles that were fought during the period of Louis XIV, but he says all these accounts of the war are much exaggerated because there was no any war correspondent during that time, and uh, so the generals and commanders, they would exaggerate even the small fights, and uh, uh, and they engaged in till they reached the proportions of decisive battles. So the small fights were glorified, they were exaggerated, and they were told as if they were big battles. Louis was really famous. No, he was not really famous. He was actually infamous. But Harvey is twisting that history. Now, as a landscape gardener, gardening means it's an art and practice of uh, uh, laying out on grounds. That is landscape gardening. So he now Harvey has a very infamous reputation. Sorry, Louis has a very infamous reputation, and Harvey is actually twisting it. He is describing him as a very famous person, as a person known for gardens that he actually laid out. Uh, the way he laid out Versailles was much admired, that it was copied all over. Now he is trying to admire Louis, calling him as a great landscape gardener, and he's also he's saying that he is admired for how he laid out Versailles. Versailles is a city in Europe, in France, and he says that model, the way Versailles was laid out, that is actually that was copied all throughout the Europe. This is how Harvey is describing Louis XIV. Do you know anything about Madame du Barry? Uh, asked Eric. Didn't she have her head chopped off? Again, look at the answer of Harvey. Harvey says, she was a great lover of gardening, said Harvey evasively. In fact, I believe the well-known Rose du Barry was named after her. And now I think you had a better play for a little and leave your lessons till later. Now, Harvey has a tough time convincing his nephews, because his nephews have a good knowledge of history, and he is trying to present these infamous characters uh, in a better light, but he is not able to do it. Even he is not convinced, and then he says, uh, just it is better if you play now. You can read the history lessons later. Harvey retreated to the library and spent some 30 or 40 minutes wondering whether it would be possible to compile a history for use in elementary schools in which there should be no prominent mention of battles, massacres, murderous intrigues, and violent deaths. The York and Lancaster period of the Napoleonic era would, he admitted to himself, present considerable difficulties, and the 30 Years' War would entail something of a gap if he left it altogether. Still, it would be something gained if, at a highly impressionable age, children could be got to fix their attention on the invention of calico printing instead of Spanish Armada or the Battle of Waterloo. Now, after suggesting children to asking the children to play and leave the history lessons, Harvey goes to library and he spent some 30 or 40 minutes, and he wonders whether he could compile a history for elementary schools. Elementary school is when in elementary schools the children will be very young, and he doesn't want these children to read about any battles at all. He doesn't want any mention of battles, massacres, or the murders, intrigues, or the conspiracies and the violent deaths that happened during the that period of time. He does not no, he finds it very difficult to know. He thinks about the York and the Lancaster period of Napoleonic area. Napoleonic era was quite difficult because there was a lot of bloodshed and massacre during that time. How will you present that to young children? It would be very difficult. And he also thinks about 30 years of war, because this time period, 30 years, there is nothing except bloodshed and war. And if you take out, it will be very difficult to make up. How will you teach children the history if you take out the 30 years from it? So, but he is somehow trying to he's trying to find a way to compile history in which there is no mention of battles, massacres, or murders, or any violent deaths. Instead, he wants to bring the attention of the children to the invention of printing. He doesn't want any mention of Spanish Armada or the Battle of Waterloo. He wants completely take out the violence and the incidents, such incidents from the history. It was tough, he thought, to go back to the boys' room, and see how they were getting on with their peace toys. As he stood outside the door, he could hear Eric's voice raised in command. Bertie chimed in now and again with helpful suggestions. So Harvey spends time in library, and after that he goes to boys' room, and then he wanted to know how children were playing with the peace toys, because they were not given any toys that were associated with war or any war heroes. He stood outside the door and he listened to the voice of. Then he was able to listen to the voice of Eric. Eric was saying something very loudly. He was commanding some in a commanding way. Eric's voice raised in command. Bertie chimed. Chime means he interjected a remark. He said something now and then, and giving some helpful suggestion. That is Louis XIV, Eric was saying. That one in knee breeches. That uncle said invented Sunday schools. It isn't a bit like him, but it will have to do. We will give him a purple coat from my paint box by and by, said Bertie. Now, see, they are given with peace toys so that both Eleanor and Harvey want the children to know about the inventions and get inspired by them. But the children are so creative, they are so resourceful that they are using the peace toys and changing the peace toys to the characters they want. So they have taken the toy who actually who invented Sunday schools. That is Robert Reich. Robert Reich was the one who promoted Sunday schools, invented Sunday schools. They have taken the toy of that, and they are now considering it as Louis the 14th, because that is for them it looks like Louis the 14th, and they are making some changes accordingly. They have decided. Bertie, for example, is suggesting to give him a purple coat with the help of the paint box he has. Now they are creating, they are very creative, and they are changing these toys according to their needs. Yes, and Red Heels. That is Madame de Maintenon. That one he called Miss Himmins. She begs Louis not to go on this expedition, but he turns a deaf ear. He takes Marshal Sack with him, and we must pretend that they have thousands of men with them. Watchword is The watchword is "Qui vive?" and the answer is "Let us know." That was one of his favorite remarks, you know. They land at Manchester in the dead of the night, and a Jacobite conspirator gives them the keys of the fortress. Now, children, children are actually changing the toys. They are changing the names of the toys. They are changing even, by painting, and then they are using those toys to uh, for their history lessons. There is a history task that is given to them during the holidays, and for that they are using these toys accordingly. So the toy which was described by Uncle Harvey as Miss Hemans was now for them is now Madame de Maintenon. And then she is begging Louis the 14th not to go on an expedition, but he doesn't listen to her. Then he takes Marshal Sack with him, and then they pretend they are now they have decided that they are going to pretend that there are thousands of men with Louis the 14th, and the watchword is "Qui vive?" Qui vive means be alert, and the answer to that alert to that word is "Qui vive?" means be alert. Then let us moi means I am myself the nation. So that was the favorite remarks of Louis the 14th, and they land at sorry, they land at Manchester in the dead of the night, and there is a conspirator in England who gives the key of the fortress of the fort. Peeping in through the doorway, Harvey observed that the municipal dustbin had been pierced with holes to accommodate the muzzles of imaginary cannon, and now represented the principal fortified position in Manchester. John Stuart Mill had been dipped in red ink and apparently stood for Marshal Sack. Look how the children have modified the toys to suit their history assignment or a history task. Now, Harvey is actually peeping through the doorway, and to his surprise, he sees that the municipal dustbin, the toy of the municipal dustbin, they have made holes in it, and they have placed some, they have imagined it as it ha- some imaginary cannon. Cannon is used to cannon. You must all be aware that they are used to bomb the enemies. And now that municipal dustbin represented for them a fortified position in Manchester. And John Stuart Mill, who is a great political thinker, he that toy is actually dipped in red ink, and for them now it stood. For them now, the toy of John Stuart Mill is Marshal Sax. Louis orders his troops to surrender the Young Women's Christian Association and seize the lot of them. Once back at Louvre, and the girls are mine, he exclaims. We must use Miss Himmons again for one of the girls. She says never and stabs Marshal Sax to the heart. Louis orders his troop to surround the Young Women's Christian Association. Now that is the toy that is actually presented by Harvey, and they sees a lot of women, a lot of people working there. Once back from Lover, uh, and the girls are mine, he exclaims. We must use Miss Himmins again as for one of the girls. And she says never and stabs Marshall Sachs to the heart. Now they are using these toys, and now the toy Miss Hemmings was earlier used as Madame the Maintenance, and now that toy is again used for another character as one of the girls. And this particular girl exclaims never, and then she stabs to the heart of Marshall Sachs. He bleeds dreadfully, exclaimed Bertie, splashing red ink liberally over the facade of the association buildings. So, in the moment the toy of Miss Miss Hemans, which now is thought to be one of the girls, and this particular toy actually stabs to the heart of Marshall Sachs, and immediately the Marshall actually starts bleeding. Now, literally, Bertie, he says the Marshall is he says Marshall is bleeding, and he splashes the red ink over the building, association building. Now this is getting very bloody, very gory. The soldiers rush in and avenge his death with utmost savagery. 100 girls are killed. Here Bertie emptied the remainder of the red ink over the devoted building, and the surviving 500 are dragged off to the French ships. I have lost a marshal, says Louis, but I do not go empty-handed. Harvey stole away from the room and sought out to his sister. Eleanor, he said, the experiment, yes, has failed. We have begun too late. So, uh, to the horror of Harvey, the children are actually getting very bloody. Um they are playing, and they are killing, people. They are killing the people in their imagination. They are using the red ink. The moment one of the girls actually stabs the heart of Marshall Sachs, immediately the soldiers rush in and they avenge the death of their marshal. They display a lot of savagery, a lot of violence takes place. Hundreds of girls are killed, and Bertie actually empties all the red ink, and he puts it on the building to show that there was a lot of bloodshed. And 500 the 500 of them were surviving in that building. All of them are dragged to the French ships. Marshal Louis actually says, though he might have lost a marshal, he will not go empty handed, and he takes away all the 500 women. Now this is played out by the children. This is not the actual incident, but this is how the children are playing. Now once Harvey sees it, he is disappointed. Now the reason why they had given toys is the peace toys was the children should get away from these violent thoughts. They should not take inspiration. They should not think about violence. Instead, they should think about, for example, John Stuart Mill, who is a great political philosopher. They want them to think about Robert Reich, who was who promoted Sunday schools. They want to know. They want children to know about Roland Hill, the one who invented postal stamps. And Eleanor and Harvey want the children to get inspired by them. But instead of that, what do children do? Children use these peace toys and make them violent, and they change them accordingly. So Harvey is disappointed. He doesn't say anything to the children. He goes to his sister and he says, Eleanor, the experiment, the sister says yes, he says, has failed. And he also admits that they have begun too late. So the experiment which Eleanor and Harvey wanted to conduct has failed miserably. And the advisory that was given by National Peace Council is of no use. And children see, both Eleanor and Harvey tried really hard to control the thoughts, control what children do, but they are unable to do. Now, this is how the story ends. Thank you.